Herman Munster versus Gomez Addams. Gomez Addams versus Herman Munster. One is really strong, the other is Herman Munster. Way back in the 1900s, there were these two shows, The Addams Family and The Other One.
Wait a minute, what?
They sort of competed back and forth, but we all know which one was better.
Obviously, the Munsters.
Just for kicks, Mark and I are going to go back and forth and talk about why the respective head of the family is stronger. This video is all about who's stronger.
Herman Munster.
Or Gomez Addams. I'm gonna flip a coin to see which one of us can go first.
Let me just get my trusty rigged coin out.
Wait a minute.
Bam! Fake coin wins. Herman Munster. Family man, Undertaker, and near indestructible. A man who was crafted in the early 1800s by Dr. Victor Frankenstein eventually migrated to America with his family and earned his citizenship through his service with the U.S. Army in World War II. Herman and his family settled down in the city of Mockingbird Heights, California. Herman picked up a job from the local funeral home, Gateman, Goodberry, and Graves. Before we continue talking about the person that is Herman Munster, let's take a look at his most basic traits. Herman stands at 7 foot 6 inches, weighs in at 380 pounds, and wears a size 26 shoe. Now that we know who Herman is, let's talk about what makes Herman so damn strong. Size, for one thing. You know what I'm talking about, fellas. Herman is big. I mean, really big. And before any ladies get the wrong idea, I mean that he is an oversized and imposing Goliath of a man. Herman is prone to the type of tantrums you would expect from a kindergartner. He stomps up and down, causing the structures around him to collapse and fall apart. Lucky for his family, Herman has the type of money to afford the repairs on his dilapidated home.
I'm rich.
This same brute strength helps him keep his pet Spot in check. You might be thinking, oh, how cute, a puppy named Spot. But no, you're wrong. Spot is some sort of dragon dinosaur, and is similar to the rare and scary bear duck. Spot lives under the stairs in the family's front entryway of their home, and the only thing keeping Spot from killing the neighbors is the diligence and strength of Herman. Herman is a lovable family man. His wife, Lily, the daughter of Dracula, often accuses Herman of being an unfaithful philanderer.
Soups. I've been flirting with my own wife.
This is half true. Herman did at one time flirt with another woman while working as a welder at the boatyard. Dressed in his fine work coveralls and wearing a welding mask, he found himself enthralled with the woman that was welding next to him. He wrote several sweet nothings on the wall with his welding torch, and when it came down to meeting the girl, they both took off their masks. To Herman's complete surprise, the woman was none other than Lily Munster, his wife. Through the good and the bad, they stick by each other and support each other. Herman has one son, Eddie. Eddie might be a vampire or a werewolf. It's really too difficult to tell. Herman does a fine job at raising Eddie, and in turn, Eddie looks up to his father. Eddie brags to his friends about the good deeds and heroic abilities of his father.
The lesson I want you to learn is it doesn't matter what you look like. You can be tall or short, or fat or thin, or ugly, or handsome, like your father. You can be black or yellow or white. It doesn't matter. What does matter is the size of your heart and the strength of your character.
Herman's partner for when trouble comes knocking on 1313 Mockingbird Lane doors is Grandpa, aka Dracula. Herman frequently visits Grandpa for his wisdom and his magical solutions. Unfortunately, sometimes these magical solutions go very wrong. In Season 2, Episode 17, Just Another Pretty Face, Herman is struck by an artificial bolt of lightning in Grandpa's lab, turning him into a normal human, although he interprets it as being ugly. On other occasions, Grandpa's magical concoctions have been extremely helpful, like in Season 2, Episode 16, Herman Picks a Winner, where Herman gets kidnapped in the middle of a gambling scheme. Grandpa comes to the rescue with a magical pill that allows Herman to escape out the window and walk down the 50-foot skyscraper like he's a frickin' Spider-Man.
Herman, you know something?
What, Grandpa?
You're all right. Darn perfect, but you're all right.
Thank you.
Herman's career is the most disturbing and final part of my argument, though. Herman works for the local funeral home, Gateman Goodberry and Graves. He works as an undertaker. But also at one point he worked as a taxi driver, the driver of the hearse. Unfortunately, Herman struggled to both acquire and keep his driver's license. The reason why I feel this is so important to my argument is that not only does Herman have the strength to end Gomez Addams, he also has the knowledge of how to make him disappear. Alright, I'm gonna pass this microphone off to Brian so he can bring his losing argument to the table.
Is to explore the world of the Addams family, which possibly alludes to the fact that the family is not from the world that we know and love. This is often the main plot of a large, grand Addams family adventure. Be it the pinball game, the Broadway musical, the Scooby-Doo special, or the new CGI movie from 2019, the plot always seems to be that the family loses Wednesday and spends the rest of the week trying to find her. In the pinball game, this is done by launching small metal balls at different plastic pieces and hitting them against things to earn a high score. In the Broadway musical, however, Wednesday finds love and Gomez decides to support her through it, even though the boy is Jewish. This was coincidentally also the plot of the Addams Family Values movie. Did you know the Addams Family lives on a graveyard? This is also true with the Spellman family in the new Netflix series Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. And in that show, they use it as a cover so that they can have fresh human bodies to eat. In the Addams Family, it's not made explicitly clear what the grandmother makes the stew out of, but it wouldn't be entirely out of the question to say the Addams are cannibals. Consider the many times Kitty has been seen with a human femur in his mouth. Really makes you think, huh? God, that hand is hot! Alright, let's do some stats. This is a special collaborative Spooktober special, so we're going to have special Halloween-themed stats. We'll rank everything from 1 to 10 and we'll explain both people for each. Ready? Let's go. Scariness. Every Halloween we need to look at scary combatants, whether this be Freddy versus Jason or my fist against the trick-or-treating 17-year-old wearing regular street clothes. Halloween scariness is a priority. With this in mind, Herman has a clear advantage being a 7-foot-tall spooky Frankenstein monster and Gomez being a 6-foot-tall portly peppy goth. So Herman takes the lead with a 9 out of 10 and Gomez makes out with a pretty decent 6. Endurance. Now you gotta have endurance on this list. What would a scary movie be without the jump scare at the end where the monster comes back to life? You always have to leave room for the sequel. Here's the thing though, Herman has been shown to withstand lightning bolts to the head in his original black and white series. But if we're looking across the board, it's imperative that we bring up the 2012 pilot 1313 Mockingbird Lane, where Herman is portrayed as a man with heart troubles and his father-in-law works his damnedest to try to make him into the monster he is today. Meanwhile, Gomez has survived explosion after explosion, sword fight after sword fight with a single scratch. This is a draw with both characters getting an 8 out of 10. Strength. Although Herman seems like the lead, being like just a bulking patchwork monster of indeterminate build, and one could easily argue that he's at least 10 times the man Gomez ever would be, if you want to count individual parts anyway. The fact of the matter is he's only situationally strong. He can move boulders when he needs to, but in other instances he's gentle enough to gingerly caress his wife Lily. Meanwhile, Gomez doesn't casually display brute force very often, but is shown to be adept with a variety of weaponry lying around his house, and has been shown to be kind of kinky with his lovely wife Morticia. I mean, if there's not a medieval-style stretcher involved with ropes pulling you limb from limb, is it really making love? Gonna go with a 7 for Herman and a 6 for Gomez here. Speed. Unfortunately, the bulking Herman Munster falls victim to what is known as the cubic square law, the best example being found in ants. You see, the taller you make something, the more weight distribution and muscle mass is necessary to manipulate that mass effectively. As a result, smaller animals such as flies or ants are faster than human reflexes. Contrary-wise, Gomez exhibits constant exhilaration and speed when it comes to his many pursuits and hobbies, sometimes somersaulting into a backflip, or dancing a family tradition called the mamushka that involves fancy knives as seen in the 90s Addams Family movie, as well as Malcolm in the Middle for some reason. Shit got weird near the end. Herman gets a 5 and Gomez gets a 7. Family. This was a very very specific stat that only really works for this comparison in particular, so don't expect this to be exploited in other videos. Herman and Gomez are uniquely situated to receive help from their immediate family in ways most gothic horror-style characters would not be. Herman has the power of vampires and werewolves on his side, which both have a series of particular strengths and weaknesses. In 1313 Mockingbird Lane, for example, the Dracula grandfather cannot enter someone's home unless invited in, which is a weakness, but can also control other humans by making them consume his blood, which is a strength. In the 90s Addams Family movies, Gomez is trusting to any new visitors and inquirers, which could be a weakness, but this is countered by the home being alive and fighting for his behalf. In addition, Gomez owns a butler who is almost entirely like Herman himself, and he's wealthy enough to know how to deal with the help. Add in Fester's low-level electricity manipulation and Grandma's witchcraft in Wolfsbane, and you'll probably be able to handle whatever Eddie or Evelyn bring to the table. This is sort of a who would win between Kevin Allister of Home Alone and the Predator situation, where it kind of depends on what the writer decides at the moment. I'm putting them both at a solid 10.
Okay guys, we all knew how this was gonna end.